After outproducing Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave as a sophomore at Ohio State, expectations were sky high for Jaxon Smith-Njigba coming into the 2023 season. He was being drafted extremely high in fantasy football, and people were just expecting him to take over for Tyler Lockett. Now, due to his nagging hamstring injury from Ohio State, due to some training camp injuries, and just taking some time to adjust to the NFL speed, he ended the year only scoring 8.8 fantasy points per game, which is not at all what people expected. So today, we're going to be diving into the film and telling you if you should or should not still be excited about Jaxon Smith-Njigba and if you should be drafting him or not in 2024 fantasy football. We're going to look at JSN in the slot right here, and now this is where he's just going to run a nice little underneath route, picks up the first down, and this is something I saw him doing a lot at Ohio State too. He's not necessarily the fastest or most explosive guy, but he has very quick feet to where he can turn up the field in a hurry, and that alone helps him get those extra 2 to 3 yards that a lot of wide receivers don't really get. So in a PPR format where it's essential to get those dump offs that you can turn into first downs, that is going to be crucial. I really didn't like what I saw out of Shane Waldron last year, and I definitely think that he could have utilized him a lot better. The second half of the year, it was great, but we're going to show you a few examples up next of a few play calls that I didn't really like from him. And starting off here, we have JSN. He's just going to kind of sit down underneath. I'll show you it once the ball gets to him. And yeah, so he just sits down underneath the middle. It's just two defenders around him right there, and there's nothing he could have really done. I mean, there's 1, 2 right here, 3rd and 4. I like that they are targeting him in that kind of situation. That is important, but still, that's just not really his fault. I don't like the play design at all. You know, maybe you could say he should have separated better, but when there's 2 guys in the area, I'm not really sure how much you can do. Now, this next play as well, we have him on the bottom of our screen right here, and he's going to run just a nice little out route, and again, it's a zone coverage, so I don't know if that's as much on the play design. It's also a little bit on Geno Smith. The ball was high. You could say, oh, he needs to make that catch, which is honestly a fair point. It hit his hands. In the NFL, you really have to be able to bring in any ball that hits your hands. So it's a fair point, but still, there are, 2 guys again, 1, 2 draped all over him, and he's short of the sticks as well. So it makes me question if it was really a good play call to begin with. It almost gets intercepted, actually. So not a great, route by JSN. This is early in the year, but also not the best play call in the world either. And that's something you're going to see a lot in this video. Here's the beginning of the year play call where we have JSN out there, and it's just a little smoke screen where he's just the second option. Throws it to him very late. He gets 1 yard. There's really nothing you can do there. There's guys all around him. He just wasn't being used, especially early on in the year, in a situation where he was set up to succeed, where they really trusted him. He was being used more as, a dump-off option, check it down to him and see what he can do. But they really weren't taking any shots to him in the intermediate part of the field, which is something that I really found surprising because at Ohio State, it felt like he was really able to, just burst out the slot, win in the middle of the field, and pick up these chunk plays where he could honestly use, like I talked about, his yak ability. Even though he's not, the fastest guy, he has quick feet to where he can turn upfield in a hurry and pick up a decent amount of yards after the catch. Now, this next stretch of plays is honestly pretty concerning because you say, okay, he should have been used better, but at the same time, this is a very low ADOT. Okay, that's not bad. That's like, 7 yards? Again, same kind of concept, but here, again, just underneath, not much he can do there. And we're going to see it again. Just another screen pass to where there's really nothing for him to do. And I just don't really like that. I think he is, again, he's good with the ball in his hands, but I don't want that to be all of his targets. I want to see him getting the ball more in the intermediate part of the field. I want him to be running those slants. If you're going to try and get the ball in his hands, run an underneath route. Run a slant route like we saw early on. I don't really like the fact that they're giving him a ton of screens because, as we've seen, he hasn't been able to really do anything. He hasn't had one good screenplay out of the 4 that we've seen so far. Here's a play that I really like, though, and we have JSN. It's a 3rd and 1 situation, so again, we love to see him getting trusted here. He goes in the middle of the field, stops, recognizes, finds the open space, and picks up the first down. So beautiful play by Jaxon here. And we're going to skip to the goal line. A goal line target. It's just a very bad pass, and we definitely have seen that a lot. I think there are a lot of Geno believers after his amazing season, but after that, it's really, really hard to keep justifying these type of throws because that's just nowhere near him. It's 3rd and goal. You gotta, put a touchdown on the board when you're down 7 late in the 3rd quarter, and he just can't. It's just a very bad play design, or maybe just a very bad throw by Geno Smith, and Jaxon is just getting an empty calorie target right there. This is an interesting stretch of plays from Jaxon right here, and we're going to play it here. This is a little dump off again. Actually picks up decent yards, so it's getting better as the games go on. Again, screen pass here, 3rd and 22, so take that with a grain of salt, but he is able to get some yards, and here we have a 3rd and 9. It's in the red zone, so you need to pick this up or at least get close to the first down marker to where you can think about going for it. Now, we have Jaxon. I'm going to highlight him right here. He's at the top of your screen. And what's he going to do? 3rd and 9. Obviously, you're going to want to run him at least close to the marker to get that first down. It's a nice route. I would like it to be a little more sharp, but the ball could be thrown with more anticipation. But you see, the guy behind him, I think he definitely has more than enough space to close out on that ball, and he just doesn't do a very good job of actually running to the ball. You can kind of see here, he just kind of stops, camps under it. I would have liked him to see, come up a little bit, get that ball, and then maybe try and make a move upfield, but he kind of just backs into the ball, just puts his hands like he's trying to catch it with his chest, and because of that, you would see number 42 right there can just get a direct line right into his chest and just hit him super hard, pop the ball out, and there's not a completion here. So again, this is from chronological order from the beginning of the season to the end. This is week 3, as we can see by the ticker at the bottom. So we can see him develop, but that's definitely on Jaxon there. I would have loved to see him make that play, but that's a fair reason to why he's not getting a ton of red zone targets. You give him that opportunity, and you just think that he doesn't make that kind of rookie mistake. 3rd down opportunity for Jaxon, and what's he going to do? This is going to be zone coverage, so he kind of just goes to the middle, 3 guys around him, and we can see here, so we got that guy kind of faded out, so that's not really 1, 1.5, 1, 2 guys around him, and this time, he knows he has to go up and get that ball, he knows he's past the first down marker, he just does a good job of holding his ground, he doesn't totally let the ball come into him, and just does a better job of making that catch, hang on to the ball, and moving the chains. That's something that we see later on in the year. He kind of corrects that mistake, and that's what's going to build coach trust, and ultimately, coach trust and quarterback trust on top of that is what's going to help him increase his targets from 93 to over the 100, 110 mark in 2024. Another goal line target for Smith-Njigba here, and this is a very bad play. Now, here's what I'm talking about. Goal line targets are so crucial because everyone knows the best way to get fantasy points is through touchdowns. And good players get targets. Even better players get targets near the red zone because that's when it's most crucial. So showing that you can win and earn targets in the red zone, even if it's not all your fault, is very important. But here, I'm not really sure why the ball is ever going to him. He throws into double coverage, and it gets picked off. So again, that's going to go in the stat sheet as a, pass intended for him in the red zone that he didn't haul in. But we look at Geno Smith here, and it's like, man, what are you doing? And why are you giving your slot receiver a jump ball when you have literally a freak of nature, DK Metcalf, on the other side? Can we make it make sense? And this is also why I'm a little concerned about Geno Smith, because that's just a bonehead mistake right there. And right now from watching Jaxon, I'm also watching Geno, and it is not pretty. He looks pretty bad right now at this point in the film. Now, you can't actually see Jaxon on this play, but perfect. Right here, finds him in the middle of the field, gets behind his guy, a nice little deeper slant, and that's just a quick throw and catch that goes for 15 yards. It's not just that little dump off screen, get 1 or 2 yards. No, he's not a deep threat, but he is very good in the intermediate part of the field. give him a slant 9-10 yards up the field, and he is able to turn that into, not only that, he finds the soft spot in the zone, he turns that into an extra 2 to 3 yards because he's able to make that nice cut on a dime, get the ball early, and make those quick feet turn up field. Again, let's take this with a grain of salt. But 3rd and goal, they have a lot to go, so I do understand they are playing more prevent defense. But from the slot, it's a slant route, and he gets around a few guys, picks up 3 or 4 more yards. That's exactly what we should be looking for from JSN. Here's our first JSN touchdown. He kind of just runs towards the middle of the field. It gets wide open. It's honestly a better play design than it is a catch, but it is zone coverage. He gets to the soft spot in the defense, finds that seam, and they trust him enough to deliver that strike right down the middle. So, good play. I wouldn't say he did anything exceptional from separating, but it's nice to see him find the back of the end zone in that manner. Now, next up, we go right back to a screen, and here, he actually gets a nice chunk. So, I do understand that at times it might be a good idea to give JSN a screen. It is later in the video, so what, we're at like week 7, 8 now, but yes, I'm fine with giving him screens, on 3rd down, occasionally, but please don't give it to him every single play. Another example of that intermediate type route I was talking about, we're going to have JSN right here, finds the middle of the field, finds the soft spot, cuts back a little bit, tries to get around the guy. I like the idea, lost a few yards, but just a nice job getting, 10 yards up the field, and that's the kind of quick, throw and catch ball that you want him to be getting on a consistent basis. Same kind of concept right here, and we're going to watch his, work off the line a little bit. Makes a nice move, gets good leverage on his guy. He has him on his back foot, chasing around him, and he just stops in the middle, picks up the first down. Very nice play. You see, it's not really a long drop back. Get the ball, get it out, pick up 10 yards, repeat. That's where JSN is going to thrive, and I think Ryan Grubb is going to have him in that situation a lot next year. This is a play that needs to be made by JSN. 3rd and 7, so crucial down. It's really in the late stages of the game, 17-10. So they're going to put him on a slant. Great play design. Doesn't get a ton of separation, so that's also a negative. But it hits his hands, a little outstretched, but it's something I definitely saw in film to where his hands aren't super sticky. I didn't see a ton of drops like this, but it's almost like if the ball was in his range, he wasn't bringing the ball in a lot. It was, 50-50. He's doesn't have bad hands, but I definitely wouldn't say that he has great hands after watching the film. So after all the hate we've given him for getting so many screens, after all the inconsistency with the screens, it's a little bubble, makes a man miss, or really just gets around his block, and picks up his 2nd touchdown of the video. So again, I'm not going to say I don't want him used on screens because it's not like he's bad. He was pretty good with them at times at Ohio State, but I would like to see him improve, or I would like to see that usage drop down just a little bit in the screen game because, like I said, he's good, running into that. And that's why I like the bubble for him a lot more because he can move and evade with those blocks that are already set for him. It doesn't really have to be, him making a guy miss on his own. Starting to become a big issue here. 3rd and 4, crucial situation, and they're going to give the ball to their guy, JSN. Little out route, and he just loses concentration and just drops the ball. It's in his hands, he turns upfield, and it pops out. You just can't make that kind of mistake, and this is later in the year as well. We're in week 9, so it's really tough as a quarterback to keep going back to your guy when they just make simple, silly mistakes like that. We have JSN at the top of your screen, and here is a very nice play by him. He's working on his man, gets not really any separation, but does a good job of working back to the ball, over the shoulder catch, beautiful move, and kind of just turns upfield, not getting anything after the catch, but really nice tracking here. I think that's something that is very underrated about him. Very good play. He can track the ball very well, and I think that is going to show up a lot more on his film, because it definitely did at Ohio State. Now we're in week 11, and this is something that it's not a phenomenal play, but I want to point out, he's getting better. It's 3rd and 5, crucial situation, and it's not an easy catch. He has a guy draped all over him, but he picks up the first down, gets 5 more after that. Nice, easy pitch and catch, and hangs onto the ball. So it's nice to see improvement in that area from, times where he definitely had issues hanging onto the ball and dropped issues early on in his rookie campaign. Up to this point, we don't have a single clip of him going up to get the ball. So here it is, 3rd and 10, gets around his guys, shows off the hands, flashes them, and makes the catch on two bodies. So very good play, very good catch, and here we just saw 2 consecutive plays to where he hangs onto the ball with a guy draped all over him. In this situation, it's 2, and shows off trusting his hands, using them versus early in the year where we had, again, a few bad drops, and even just him trying to use his body more so to haul in the ball. Again, very positive trend. Later on in the season, his hands are really starting to improve. One-handed grab, brings it in against the 49ers. Beautiful play down the sidelines. That's just the kind of highlights that you love to see. Getting better as the season goes on. I don't love this as much though. 2nd and goal, red zone attempt, and doesn't really separate himself from his man, draped all over him, and just not a great, pass either. There's nothing you could do there. I don't know why he'd throw that. Jaxon didn't really separate. You got to be able to separate near the goal line, and all of his touchdowns have not been in that fashion. This is actually a pretty good play by Jaxon. You can see right here if I highlighted both guys, him and Lockett, but goal line attempts, he has his guy beat, just runs out of end zone, out of his reach. Here's a play where I can actually see him separate against his man in the red zone, so in the goal line in that case, so really like that play. Definitely probably could have used the field better to maybe stay in bounds. Then maybe the throw is better. But it's definitely, a slight improvement in the right direction. We're getting near the end of the season, and we have Jaxon here. Let's look at the game scenario. You guys probably remember this. Monday Night Football, 32 seconds left. 3rd and 10, Drew Lock in the game. Seahawks down 4. And who do they turn to? They turn to Jaxon on a deep route. Separates well. Over the shoulder catch, and brings it home for what's going to be the walk-off touchdown. And that's incredible concentration, incredible hands as well. That's like right at his fingertips. So just gets around his man, beats him, creates the space, and brings in the game-winning touchdown. So again, another example of him making his best plays of the year down the stretch, which is perfectly fine for a rookie. We can't expect too much out of these guys just because we've been spoiled with these generational prospects to where they produce right away. It's fine to let a rookie produce later in the year and develop. That's a good thing. Also, keep in mind that he was dealing with injuries at Ohio State last year, dealing with an injury in training camp, so his opportunity to adjust to the NFL, improve, and get better came from him actually playing in the games. Again, end of the year, we're going to see him really start to heat up. He's on his man, gets inside on him, and just creates some nice separation. We're going to see better in the next frame. Scores a touchdown 3rd and 11 where they're down. Yeah, just shakes his man right off him, adjusts to a pretty bad throw by Geno Smith, and brings it in for 6. So not an easy catch at all, especially to control your body, stay in bounds. He's kind of close to the back of the end zone. And just, it's just the fast feet that start to get the defender lost. And he really started to display that near the end of the year, where we can see early on he was getting bottled up a lot more, but near the end of the season, I could tell, obviously just from watching every single target, he was getting more separation near the end of the year. After watching the film, my main takeaway is Jaxon is still a very good player, and he developed throughout the season, which is something that we see from a lot of rookie wide receivers. The sophomore year is when that breakout typically happens, and especially because he had that nagging injury at Ohio State in his junior year, I think that is more prevalent to him than anyone else. He's a very good player, but it's all about the price. On Underdog, he's going at the wide receiver 46 cost, and I'm drafting him everywhere at that price. I don't think he finishes lower than a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 36, due to his good separating abilities. He has very quick feet, and he just does such a good job finding the soft spot on the defense. We saw later on in the season, he did a good job picking up those chunk plays, getting the ball in his hands early, and turning upfield for 3-4 yards after the catch, which should turn him into a half PPR and even more of a PPR demon. So this year, I'm definitely drafting JSN. Don't be surprised if he dominates. I don't think he'll be a wide receiver 1, but it wouldn't be surprising to me if he was a mid to high end wide receiver 2. So that being said, draft Jaxon Smith-Njigba, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.